Welcome, everyone. I am John Ryan, and you are watching Manny's Irish Pub Sports Betting Shows. We're a bunch of us guys from SportsMemo and Wagertalk get together, and we talk, guess what? We talk about sports. So welcome to the show, Tony Mejia, Eric Pauly. Eric Pauly and I just finished the MLB Full Count show, and that went extraordinarily well. I think I almost made Jesse Schule cry because I went against him in the Angels and the Seattle game. He came up with an excuse that he had to go to the gym and he couldn't be on Manny's Pub. I think
the Iceman doesn't cry. Come on now.
That sounds like he's going to his therapist, in my opinion. Speaking of therapists, Tony Finn in the house.
Yeah, I think speaking of therapists, my bill has been in your house. It's been in your mailbox forever. So I'm here though.
Well, thanks for letting me know. I was wondering why the police kept driving by checking my mailbox.
Yeah, that might be for the other terrorists you work with, not me.
Well, now that you said that, Mito Pereira is even par, Tony Mejia. He's through 9 holes, and it looks like he's had 9 consecutive pars, believe it or not. It's pretty good. Tony Finau, who shot amazingly well last week at the Canadian Open, he also is even par through 9, and that is going to be a good score, gentlemen, this afternoon at Brookline. The wind is up about 20 miles an hour, and this is such a cool course. I can't even begin to tell you. The fact that it happened so long ago with the amateur Francis We Met and the movie made about him, the greatest game ever played, it gives me goosebumps to think about that history. And this is the 4th time they've had the U.S. Open at this venue, and it's a good one. You know, par 70, it's playing anywhere from 7,200 to 7,400. And when you add the wind, fellas, that gets a little crazy. The morning session, the guys shot better. Rory McIlroy is -3, tied for the lead with 4 others. Joel Damon shot -3. It was a great round for him. He was in a head-to-head matchup I saw against Phil Mickelson, so I think we know who won that one. But a guy that I've never heard of from Switzerland, Callum Tarren, Tarren, is tied for the lead, -3. David Lingmerth, I've heard of him. But McIlroy's kind of looking – he's got that bounce, and he's looking winnerish. So I guess that's all I have to say about that. If Rob Veno was here, I'd speak a lot longer.
All right. I only care about my FanDuel lineup. I went with Sebastian Munoz, who had a birdie, I believe, on 1, and then has really let me down because he's at +4. All my other guys are in the mix. I got Finau, Zalatoris, Kokrak, Smith, and Matsuyama. But Sebastian Munoz is dragging me down because he's a +4 and he's done.
I just saw Phil Mickelson's name. Where is he? Ooh, Lord. +5 through 7.
Is Mickelson playing?
Well, apparently he's not playing well, though. He's +5 through 7. He's doing a John Daly, I think.
I thought the PGA had suspended a bunch of those guys because they joined the 54 club.
Well, they're suspended, but this is the U.S. Open, which allows at-large invitations. And if you won it, you're invited for the rest of your life no matter what. And they forgot about this when they did these rules 150 years ago. And some of these rules are about 150 years old, and they really should try to change them. But looking at the board here, I don't see anything really standing out other than I'm surprised that somebody didn't shoot 6 under this morning, but the course was playing very fair. And these greens, when you watch it on TV, are some of the smallest that these pros will ever play on. They're Poana greens, which is very common in the Northeast. And in the afternoon, you have the wind. And then the Poana grass itself is mixed with bent. So the Poana grows faster throughout the day. The bent grass chases the sun, and you get the grain changing. A putt that would have gone maybe a ball or 2 to the right, all of a sudden now it's going a ball or 2 to the left, and it becomes very challenging the later the day becomes. So if you're already 5 over, Phil, after 7, that's not good because 5, 6, and 7 are probably the easiest 3 holes on the course. Sergio Garcia, +3 through 9. That's tied for 100th. The cut line right now would be somewhere For tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if it was +4, and it depends on the weather. It depends on the wind. But right now, I would say the cut line is going to be +4 for what that's worth. And Jordan Spieth would be right on the cut line after shooting a 72 today. All right. So I think there's a basketball game on tonight, right?
Yep.
Just a regular one. Not game 6 in the finals or anything.
I have a 5%er going. It's been up there since Tuesday as a $2 play. And if you follow me at all on the Triple Double show, you probably saved yourself $2. But you want to make sure you get the right play, then you have to spend $2 to go over to Wagertalk and get it. But do you think it ends tonight, Tony Finn? Or do you think we extend this series to a 7th game?
I definitely think it goes to a 7th game. There's nothing. There's very little that's save maybe some surprising announcements on personnel that would change my mind on that. So,
Tony Mejia, what do you think?
I think that the Celtics have disappointed me all week. So, we shall see if they come through tonight or, they're going to go down in flames. I mean, certainly they've been in both games with an opportunity to win in the fourth quarter. Jason Tatum's been terrible. Worst 2-point shooting percentage in a quarter century from 2-point range in the NBA Finals. So he is shrunk. I don't know if it's his shoulder or if it's just something mental. Like I said on the NBA show yesterday, he was at his most effective, I thought, in game 1 with the 13 assists. And even though he did try to force the issue some, they turned that 12-point deficit into a 12-point win with him really, sitting back and allowing Jaylen Brown to be the guy, that really made that push, very first few minutes of the fourth quarter. And then ultimately Horford made threes. Marcus Smart finished it off. And it was a collective approach. And, the other thing that goes hand in hand with that is the bench has disappeared. You had Grant Williams be the X factor against the Bucks and the Heat, and he's been terrible in the last couple of games. Peyton Pritchard was excellent against Miami, knocking down open shots and really hustling, and he's been a non-factor of late. And Derek White, the team's 6th man, the guy that they're really focused in on being the key in the small lineup, and Horford starts at the 5 or plays at the 5, has started off the finals playing spectacularly well and has really wilted of late. And looks like he's doubting his shot. If he doubts his shot at home in game 6, I don't think there is a game 7. So we'll have to see how all those guys respond.
Yeah, wilted is a kind word. And that's kind of what I think of with Jason Tatum. But in terms of his shoulders or his shoulder being injured, I don't know how you could wave your arms around in windmill-like fashion after every shot you miss, complaining to the referee that you didn't make a correct call, sir. And I'm sure he's saying in that fashion. I'm sure it's very respectful. And I've said it time and time again, and you guys are sick of hearing it, but if you want to be a superstar, there's a template. And I'm going to say it. Jordan, Kobe, you can name others if you want. Did you ever once see them complain to the referee and hurt their team? As many times
they didn't have to. They didn't have to because they got all the calls.
Well, I guess that was before cell phone use, I guess, too.
They didn't. They got all the calls. You talk about bias. In that period in time, it was a little different too. It was rare that you saw it, John. You saw Barkley. Barkley was a whiny little bitch. He'd complain all the time, but that was his MO. I mean, and no one's worse in this day and it's really not my generation. But in the kids' generation now, being an old man, I don't know too many people who want. I mean, after everything and stands around, that's Luka, the worst.
Oh yeah.
I think that maturity issue is something that is it's something that cannot be overlooked. And I think it has to do so. Of course, I'm around the same age as Luka and Tatum. You guys have a couple of years on me. Yeah. But it's something that I've seen just in competitive sports that I've played all my life as well, too. It's just that drive to be great. I'm not going to say it's non-existent anymore. It's just it's different. A lot of people like from my generation growing up, and again, I wasn't playing AAU circuits with Tatum, but I did play on some very highly competitive teams back in the day in basketball, baseball as well. And this certain, like really just like that competitive drive that those Jordans and Kobes of the world have doesn't exist in the same degree. Everybody's really buddy. Everybody's more about being friends, and what they're really doing is hurting their team by not running back on defense and putting your arms up and saying, why don't I get this call? That cannot be overstated how negative that is for a team. You have guys like Robert Williams, who's playing with a knee injury, who's probably hurting himself more so for the future than anything, putting in as hard as he can and as many minutes as he can. And you have Tatum, again, going down the floor, complaining about not getting hit on a foul call. There has to come a certain point where you have to just play the game of basketball to understand that the referees are not going to be giving you those calls. And in a certain degree, Tatum is not a superstar to where he deserves to get everything called just yet. Of course, he's a fantastic player. He's on that trajectory. But I think it is a generational thing. I think people around my age are used to being pampered a little bit more, are used to being that 5-star recruit who was always better than everybody. And then when it's times are tough, like in the game 6 of the NBA Finals, game 5, game 4, you have to put away those kinds of things and focus on every single play. Every single possession is a difference maker. And you're talking about turnovers as well. The Celtics are turning the ball over like they're giving. The worst part about it is their live ball turnovers, which are leading to transition buckets for the Warriors. And just, again, a little bit of a tangent, but going back to the series, when you're facing a team like the Milwaukee Bucks, especially without Chris Middleton, you have to focus every piece of your defense on Giannis Antetokounmpo. You live if anybody else beats you. With the Warriors, as we've seen, you can't do that. If you're going to be boxing one-ings on Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, he hasn't been shooting well, he's going to get his. And Andrew Wiggins, a former number 1 overall pick, who, as we saw from Tom Thibodeau's, the New York Knicks head coach, had comments saying that Jimmy Butler loved this guy in Minnesota because he hustled, he competed, he played defense. And Jimmy Butler, the one thing we know about him is he doesn't like soft. It shows to show that it's just a different team that you're facing with the Warriors when you have to really guard 3 or 4 guys that can kill you. I think, again, there's a lot of points to be made, but Tatum certainly hurts his team when he's doing all that flopping, or not flopping, I should say, but complaining is the perfect way to describe it. He's complaining.
Yeah, it's it's just so exhausting. If I was his teammate, I think on the bench, I would have to say something like, dude, what are you doing? I guess I can put Tony Finn in my generation. I'm not as old as him, obviously. You can tell by the good looks that I have. But Joe D'Amico has told me that, too, that I have good looks. So it must be true, right?
Must be true.
Well, that would scare me away immediately, but that's just me.
But I was taught by many good coaches, some of which I loved like a second dad. Other ones I couldn't stand because they would piss me off and say you're weak. You're not going to start at safety this Friday, and I would get pissed off and I would just like let it fly. It was motivating. Nowadays, if you dare even look at a player that's under the age of 18 the wrong way and bench him, you're going to get letters from the parents and you're going to be in trouble. And that's a shame. And AAU basketball, I think, is a problem. As Eric said, the entitlement factor. You walk around like you're the prince of princes, you're the next LeBron, you're the next whatever, and you don't have to do the details anymore. You don't have to carry your own bag. 16-year-olds that don't have to carry their equipment. They have a manager that does that. That's a bunch of crap. And it's teaching the wrong lesson. And lastly, and I still tell my baseball teams this, whether they're 10-year-olds or 18-year-olds, the umpire is always right. Yesterday, that might have been a ball. Today, he called it a strike and you struck out looking. That's what it is. That's the game. But if you allow that to get in your head, I think that's part of why Tatum's not playing well. What is it, Tony Mejia, 27% from 2-point range in the paint?
I believe it's a little higher than that. We talked about that yesterday. It's he's shooting 37% from everywhere in the postseason. That's only because he's shooting the ball well from 3-point range, but it's 36% in the paint based on the numbers I've seen. 20% field goals in the fourth quarter, which is brutal, and 24% for the series. So 20% in the last game, 24% for the entire series in the fourth.
Well, that's consistent, though.
Consistently bad, yeah. I mean, again, like where I think that the Celtics hurt themselves in a position to take control of this game was the series was in Game 4, where they got a lead with 5 minutes to go.
Yep.
And it was hot potato because nobody wanted to take the bull by the horns, and then all of a sudden you're taking bad shots. Nobody's driving to the paint to at least get some contact. And then you've got the Warriors locking in on defense and Steph making a few clutch shots, and all of a sudden the game slips away. And last game they played a terrible first half on the road, gutless, and then they hit a few shots in the third quarter to get back in. It's reverse course of what we've seen throughout this series in the third quarter, where it's been the Warriors dominating games 1 through 4. Game 5 was the exact opposite. So you put yourself in a position to win. Jordan Poole hits one lucky shot, and all of a sudden you fade away in the fourth. So all 3 games that the Boston Celtics have lost in the series have been a result of them playing stupid basketball and looking too young for the moment. Draymond Green getting in their heads in Game 2, Game 4 letting it slip away due to bad offense, and Game 5 not showing up in the fourth quarter on the road.
And that's a great point, Tony. That's something I wanted to mention earlier. It's just when I'm looking at this, I don't have any client plays out for this, but I certainly lean for the Warriors to win this game and this series tonight. But it's the maturity factor. The Celtics have shown time and time again that they're too immature for this moment. Obviously, the Warriors have been here with the dynasty that they have going on. So that you can't overstate that. Of course, they have a veteran like Horford, but as we all know, or if we don't know, now you know this is the first time Horford in his NBA career has even playing in the finals. Mm-hmm. So if they lack that experience, the Warriors, of course, have an abundance of experience. And I think another thing, again, back to the immaturity and so on and so forth, these things cannot be overstated, especially in the course of the NBA finals and a 7-game series.
And it's well said, Eric. I like that a lot. I think we're all kind of on the same page, with the exception of Mr. Finn thinking that it's going to go to 7, I believe. I
know it will. It will go 7. If you don't believe it'll go 7, we'll call the NBA office and ask them where their seats are for Father's Day Sunday.
Father's Day night. Scott Foster will be a part of Father's Day night, I would assume, considering Zarba's going that night. So I said that yesterday. I said I don't think the NBA is going to throw Foster out there with everybody making fun of him extending the series, and I think the Celtics are 13-0 in his game. So either he's called his last game or he'll be there in Game 7.
Do we know who the referee crew chief is for this game yet?
Zarba tonight.
It's who?
Zach Zarba.
Oh, okay.
Zarba.
Brooklyn born. He's pretty good.
And Foster's not one of the 3.
No, Foster's not in here.
No Tony Brothers.
I'll give you the officials tonight. It is Zach Zarba, David Guthrie, and John Goebel.
Yeah. All have a piece of somebody's. You know what? Again, it's more than the dark. The deep conspiracy theory. I don't believe in this. Here's the problem. And in the old days when the media wasn't as prevalent or wasn't as readily available to players, coaches, and before we had these top secret cameras that film everything, and of course our convenient phones that can tape record about anything you want, anywhere you want, and the disregard for telling someone, listen, you could be being taped, that's in truth, before you tape somebody on the phone, et cetera, you have to make that. It's just a law. It's just common sense, and it's courtesy that should be extended. None of that applies anymore. It just doesn't apply. And if you don't want to be trending on Twitter, then you probably should cross your T's, dot your I's, and the P's, the Q's, all those kind of things that make the world go round. But I'm not that. Here's the deal. You guys have known, except for Eric, we haven't done any shows. There's no question in my mind that Boston is the better team, balanced, deeper. They don't have, as we've discussed many times, they don't have that basketball IQ that the Warriors have, that savvy the experience. However, tell me that Draymond Green has been anything more than that whiny thug on the court, because he's been absolutely invisible in this series as far as statistically contributing. And not that you have to contribute statistically. However, in the games that the Golden State's won, for the most part, it has been a Curry show. In fact, they've called it, historical. Some of his, and if it wasn't, as Eric mentioned too, if it wasn't for Wiggins, and I mentioned this before the series started, and how Wiggins had grown up, and the guys I know that cover the Warriors, one guy in particular who's kind of close to Wiggins, and has always asked me not to mention his name because of some of the things he tells me, but he said Wiggins is a completely different player. He's just a different player. He's bought into that Kerr culture, the Golden State culture, the Warriors culture, much not identical or not even similar to some degree, but much what they do in Miami, at least what they pitch you, when they're trying to sell you a free agent contract, et cetera, et cetera. And Wiggins has shown that. I mean, he's more consistent. He's always been a guy that is pretty athletic, a number 1 overall draft pick out of Kansas University, as Eric mentioned, that even when he was there, people said, man, he's so some of the words they would use would be lazy was one of the words, because he's does things so fluidly, and he's a good athlete. Some athletes just look like they're not even trying when they run a 10-1 100-meter dash. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, it's just a fluid. But I like Wiggins. Always liked him, and thought he never was the kind of guy. He's the kind of guy that kind of disappears after the game's over. Goes to either with family, friends, and puts some headphones on, and Xbox is an Xbox or whatever it might be.
Well, he's a naturally quiet guy. He underachieved at KU, despite the fact that he was the number 1 overall pick, because he was such a dynamic athlete. But look, the bottom line is we've seen 2 Andrew Wiggins in this postseason alone. Well, he was bad against the Memphis Grizzlies.
That's the matchup there, I think.
But his temperament was completely different.
Okay,
he was kind of
I can't say I noticed
players
that
wanted to just fit in, and there were super athletes on that team. I think when the light bulb went on was against Luka, because he had to make Luka work on defense, in addition to being the primary assignment to him as the primary defender, and that helped him establish a rhythm. And then he's really taking it up another level in rising to the occasion in these finals. So I tip my hat to him. He's been the X factor the last 2 games.
Can we give him some credit for some of the words we're throwing around before the name Tatum and after the name Tatum? He's done. He's never gotten the credit defensively that I thought he deserved. Mostly because, again, when he plays, there's so many times he looks lethargic and like he doesn't care. And it's just I don't think it's been to the degree that people have reported it, but for the most part, he's a different player. I think he's in a great role. He doesn't have to be the number 1 overall draft. And what's expected of that number 1 overall is sometimes a little bit, especially for big men, not so much for Wiggins, but especially for big men, a lot's expected. Maybe even too much. So,
yeah, I agree. Wiggins at plus 1,800. I did a pizza money bet yesterday. Mm-hmm. My reason was, a million people would tell me, well, there's no chance of that happening. But if Tony Finn is right, we go 7 games and Curry shoots 0 for 7 again, which I don't think is going to happen. But just stay with me in this scenario. He has another game where it's really visible that Wiggins kept them in the game, although they lost tonight. They go to game 7. He pulls off another double-double, 4 in a row. And the Warriors win, and Curry doesn't go off for 30 points. Does he then have a fighter's chance of getting the voters to vote for him?
Yep, he does.
I'll give you an example of why. Do you remember the Super Bowl, been 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, when Kansas City beat San Francisco, where Kansas City was behind in the fourth quarter, came back and beat San Francisco. And Mahomes, I had a big ticket. I had a very big ticket. I won that when Kansas City was trying to run the clock out and San Francisco was crowd basically was stacking the box, and they knew they were going to run the football, and we've seen it a million times. Not a million. I'm embellishing, but we've seen it. Riggins do it, where you break through that line, and when you get through that line, you're gone. And we saw it happen with Kansas City with Williams with running back, and I had a big ticket on him, and he had scored. It was going to be it was a rushing touchdown. He'd already had a receiving touchdown. He had the most yards on the ground, et cetera, et cetera. And when the game was over, I said, this is a winner. It's a big winner, right? No, Mahomes. And in the Super Bowls, traditionally, it's a quarterback, right? It's just the way it is. In the NBA, it's traditionally that guard, that team leader, the guy that's perceptually is perceived as being the MVP, right? Wiggins, I said this I was on Gabe's show a couple weeks ago, guys, and I said Wiggins, I thought, John, like you did, I thought he had a chance to be the MVP if Golden State was impressive and he was the second leading scorer, that maybe he averaged a double-double, that he could legitimately steal that MVP from Curry, who's going to average 30 points a game, right? It would take a big performance from Wiggins tonight in a loss, and another big performance at home in Game 7, I think, to overtake Curry, but who knows?
Don't forget it. I mean, it's a subjective award, and writers do feel like they owe him one. So,
well, maybe so. Man, I don't listen.
The Iguodala thing has been talked about within writing circles for the last 5 years as a mistake. So, I mean, but in the exact scenario that you and John outlined, where Curry disappears for the next 2 games and Wiggins wins it for them in Game 7, that's the only way that Curry won't win a Finals MVP if the Warriors win it all. And if Curry goes for 50 in a Game 7 loss, he could win it in a losing cause. So we shall see.
When that happens, I won't worry about it getting too hot here in Vegas, because hell will be freezing over.
I believe it. I used to kind of as like a little miniature hedge against my Warriors futures bet by doing that. And you know, what if scenario here, and then we'll move on to a baseball game. We have a couple guys in the chat room asking us to do a baseball game. But if Boston wins this series in the World Championship, I might even promise to throw up on the Manny's Pub Show live if Tatum gets the MVP award. If Boston
nobody wants to see that, John.
Games, and he is awarded after a minus 37 plus minus in Game 2.
Okay, let me ask, if Boston does win it, who are you giving the MVP to?
Jaylen Brown.
I would say Jaylen Brown or Curry.
Right.
Well, okay. Then I think that's contrary. I just think it's completely the most valuable player in the series can't possibly come from the losing team.
I mean, it has once before, and it wouldn't normally be the case. But
I hit the twin trifecta once at the dog track too. Doesn't mean it's happening again.
Right? No, I understand that, but I'm with
again.
John that 23-7-7 for Jason Tatum sounds good, unless you've watched the finals and seen him win and seen him be terrible. And so this is a historically bad performance from Jason Tatum.
And that is why Boston has scored 120 points in their high game, 88 in their low game, and the Warriors are between 100 and 108 over those 5 games.
I'll tell you again,
that has caused that volatility.
Yeah, well, I want volatility in a 7-game series or a 3-game series, 5-game. I want volatility. I want somebody who can show me their high end.
Tatum hasn't done that.
What we've gotten here,
Wiggins has.
Okay.
Right?
No, my point was I was going to your game, your where the Warriors have been as a team, and where they've been here, and where Boston's been here or been here. So that's really what I want, something dynamic in a short series. I mean, that's why the best team doesn't always win the World Series,
so true,
or the NBA championship, or any championship for that matter. Is that they're dynamic to some degree, where they can play above their pay grade, their skill set.
Somebody spinning records over there?
I don't know. It is, but I'm waiting for him to start. Maybe it's Jeff. I see a picture down here in the left hand.
I got a handful of minutes, so let's do baseball.
Yep. Well, then let's do it. Come on.
Yep. I just just asked them here. I'm just waiting for them to say something, but I know Eric has a 5%er in Major League Baseball tonight, so there's a game that I don't want to put him on the spot because I know what matchup it is. But what game appeals to you, Tony Finn, that you would like to discuss?
How about we talk about a game that I streamed? Actually, would be Philadelphia, your team, Philly, at Nationals Park, playing the Nationals. I did this with Atlanta. I did it with Atlanta. Listen, going back to that first game of that series, which I played the run line. I didn't just play the run line. I played the first half. I played the -1.5. Played the -3 alternative lines. Unfortunately, in game one of that series, I listed pitchers. So since Gray went out, so let's put it this way: they changed pitch. Washington changed pitchers, went to an opener essentially. But I did the same thing in game two. Every game since then, what I did was I played the half. I played the first half. I played the I played the -1 last night too, and -1.5. Did not play the -3. Played those three, but the game before was -0.5, -1.5. Again, I think Washington. There's two guys you can avoid in the Washington lineup. That being or three if you want to, count the old man and Cruz. But the truth is, Bell and Soto. You can pitch around those guys. You're going to be pretty safe. If you can score 3 runs, 4 runs, you're going to win. And Philadelphia hits left-handers pretty well. And if there's a guy I've faded all season long, I've faded him. I faded him mostly last season, the second half, and that's Corbin. He is nothing more than an innings filler at this point in time. He's lost so much velocity, so much movement, so much spin that when he arrived in Washington, he had one so pedestrian season. Since then, it's been the backside of a fast falling career. Give me this way: play Philly tonight. First half, -1.5, -3. The -3, you'll probably get about a +50 cents on.
I like Philly too. We have Zach Wheeler on the bump.
Yeah,
going for his second consecutive monthly National League Pitcher of the Month. What is it? I don't have it in front of me, but I know it's way under 2. And he starts in June. We're halfway through June. He's pitching better than he did in May. Since the second start of the season, John, he's only had one game that he's had over 3, allowed more than 300 runs. Just one. He's not Musgrove right now. I don't know how Musgrove has done today. I have a feeling it was the wind was kind of bad, but he still is. Yeah, let me tell you, Musgrove's been stupid. He's been stupid, right? In fact, I didn't understand the Swarmer Musgrove line today, but that's a good call. I mean, Wheeler's been good, really good.
I concur.
Eric,
with all that.
You agree with Philly on that breakdown by Tony?
On SportsMemo.com, my free play of the day is Phillies -1.5. So I certainly agree with Tony there.
That's good. Mr. Mejia, what do you think?
First half, because I don't trust the Phillies bullpen, but I'm in on that for flying. So for anybody
watching,
you're
going to bet by 10. You're going to bet by 10. We don't need a bullpen.
First 5 play, I agree with Patrick Corbin. He's what, the worst contract in baseball, I would think.
Maybe.
And everything that Tony said was absolutely accurate. And I just hope the Phillies don't leave me hanging like they did in the first 5 against the Marlins or yesterday, because I was in on that and they ultimately won it in 9, but I was not on the full game.
The day before, Tony, I got beat by the bullpen. I scored 9 runs. I can't win with Philly.
Yeah, we talked about that, that was why I was in on first 5 in that game and not the full game. So I avoided that bullet.
Well, real quick question for them. We'll do our best bet to end the show. But if you have first 5, and I'm starting to run some analytics on this, some models, and you're in a game that's 1-1, and you're on the Phillies, does that present an opportunity then to bet full game with the live game, believing that they are going to win over those last 4 innings, and you're going to end up winning what would have been the first half? Well,
no, I mean, listen. If you look at the metrics, right now, if you're ahead, I looked at the metrics. If you remember 2 years ago during our pandemic, where first 5s at Wagertalk got so crazy, nobody trusted a bullpen, et cetera, et cetera. The metrics are not that much different. When you have the lead after 5 this year, I think the teams, 80% of the teams are winning that game. So it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's not much different than it's been historically, but a few things happen, and you know, being the species we are, we get kind of crazy. You know?
I have a question for you there, Tony, though. So, of course, the numbers are backing that up, but something that has been kind of popping up in major leagues lately is that, especially during the COVID year, there was not an abundance of good pitching. Like there was literally a decline in the quality of starters. Of course, you have your aces of the aces, and you have a lot of room there. So given that fact that 80% of the time they're still winning is honestly a really ridiculous rate, but the quality of pitchers coming into baseball in general has kind of declined. Being there's no correlation there, do you expect that that's just the way baseball is and it's kind of always been that way, but people are overhyping it now, or do you see that number coming back down to earth toward the end of the season, the second half?
I would say that there are always going to be aberrations. There's always going to be exceptions, and there's always going to be gaps and seasons that don't quite, fit the mold. Like a guy in a suit walking up to your door asking for money because he's broke. It doesn't fit. It's just not right. However, with those what you're talking about, it's almost they're correlated, and that is when pitching's down, it's not only down in the bullpens, but it's down in the starting. And if the starting pitch is down, then the bullpen pitch is down. So over the course of the season, it typically evens out, and the percentages would be similar, I would think. I will say this, and that is that we've kind of skewed things. I mean, what Tampa Bay has done, they originally did with openers, et cetera, things have kind of changed a little bit. And all of us pay a little more attention now. When you see a guy who's typically not a starter and who's a long reliever and he jumps into a starter's role, we know what's going on, don't we? I mean, we have a good idea. And then you have to assess, who's piggybacking.
Mm-hmm. It's very simple to me. I mean, look, we've got the Reds can't hold a lead. I mean, they still trot Tony Santillan out there to close games. ERA's over 5, bullpen ERA. Cubs near 5. Colorado, the numbers are skewed because of Coors Field, but their bullpen's terrible. Royals, awful. Washington, Oakland, Arizona, bad bullpen. So you stay away from those. If you somehow like those teams to win a game, I go first 5. Houston Astros, Yankees, Cleveland Guardians, Atlanta Braves, and Tampa Bay Rays. Only 5 teams that have a bullpen ERA at 3 or better. So
I don't want to limit myself that, Tony. Unless
it's as simple as that to me. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not that black and white to me. So, but I understand what you're saying.
Also, an angle on first 5 unders besides run lines as well.
Yeah,
the starting pitching matchup. I've seen though as the season's got on, those lines have definitely sharpened up on the books ends. They've definitely found that as bettors have been exploiting them a little bit. And again, that's how it works every season, of course, as everyone gets more information, things change and get tougher.
I'll give Tony some credit. Yesterday. I played the Baltimore-Toronto over first 5. Mm-hmm. Why did I not play the game over? It's because, listen, Baltimore starting pitching is bad. However, their bullpen has been very capable, and I found that to be more favorable with the batting practice pitcher throwing for the Orioles, and because Berrios is giving up almost 50% hard contact. It's crazy. His 5-2 record, or 6-2 record, 5-2 is it's a mirage.
Blue Jays run line bettors got beat bad last night.
Yeah, well, I don't play home teams on the run line. There's an example.
That's a good point.
I don't do it.
Yeah. And today, Gossman didn't no show.
Another Ralph Michael-ism, among others. Kevin Thomas, welcome to the show. Do you know Tony Finn, and have you met Tony Mahian and Eric Pollock?
I have not. It's nice to meet you guys.
What's up, Kevin?
I just want to chime in and hear what you guys are on, man. I'm going to place a couple of bets a little later.
Quaaludes. One Quaaludes.
Guess what his favorite team is?
My favorite team I got money on.
Pirates. The Pirates.
He's very aware that Aaron Nola's garbage the third time through the lineup. So
he only wears that hat when Nola's pitching at home.
All right, let me get out of here. I'm going to give you my best bet, which is also available at wt.bus/TM on my page, and it is the freebie. So go get it if you read the write-up. It's the Angels and the Mariners. It's a contrarian play, and it's on the first 5 over. And considering the the Angels had 5 hits in 2 games against the Dodgers, and they throw in Shohei Ohtani out there. It's definitely an eyebrow raiser. But I was looking at the numbers. Basically, Ohtani's just such a different pitcher on the road than he is at home. Dating back to last year, his ERA on the road was 5 and under 2 at home. This year, adding 60 points higher at home against Ohtani than they do in Anaheim. So from that's one part of the equation, and I think hopefully Trout gets into one, and they got Taylor Ward back. And then from Seattle's standpoint, George Kirby, the rookie, started off really fast, but he's given up 2 home runs in 3 of his last 5 outings. I think he's vulnerable as well. So I'm going to take the first. I think if we hadn't seen the Mariners shut out yesterday by the Twins, and if we hadn't seen the Angels struggle to hit for 2 weeks now, this first 5 number would be 4.5. Instead, it's 3.5. So I would climb in and hope for the best.
Yeah, it's a good play. Kirby's a 2-pitch pitcher. He's not that hard to figure out. His fastball slider. In fact, they haven't seen him before, Tony, but it's only the first time. But when you see Kirby twice, 3 times, he's going to have to add that 3rd pitch. He's got to learn to throw his changeup before he's going to be good, really good. Yeah.
Well, I wish you guys a wonderful betting evening, and I will.
You too.
I will see y'all tomorrow.
Behind you, when you leave, Tony, grab me a shot and do a shot for me.
I'm going to do a shot right now, brother.
Tequila right back there.
All right, be good.
All right, we'll see you, man.
Take care.
Well, I'm going to tail on top of that game. And for my best bet of the show, Kevin, your timing was perfect because you're in the final round of the best bet segment. So my best bet is the Angels. I also like that over bet that Tony Mejia did. And, the kid from Elon University, 24-year-old player. I'm bringing up my notes here real quick. You're right, Tony Finn, that he's a 2-pitch pitcher. His spin rate for the fastball is only like 2,100 RPMs, which is low. And what that means is that ball comes in flat more times than it has any tailing action that would get on the hands of a batter. And I got to think that if there was ever a time to bet Mike Trout to hit a home run, getting plus 280, it would have to be tonight. I think the odds are pretty favorable that, Trout, he's been struggling, I admit it, but he usually does not miss a flat 95-mile-an-hour fastball too many times, and he knows it's going to be coming. I mean, if we know it, he knows it, and he's certainly better at taking advantage of that than any of us. So that's my play for the show. The Angels money line -120, -125, and also for Trout to hit a home run at plus 280. All right. Kevin, you want to do a best bet next, and then we'll go to Eric, and then we'll have Tony Finn bring up the anchor position.
Oh yeah, I was looking at the Phillies and the Nationals. You got Wheeler and Corbin. And after what Gibson did last night, I expect Wheeler to be electric, especially, playing down there in Washington. So I was looking at the under for the 6 innings, under 4. You can get that I saw earlier for a plus 130, under 6 or under 4 for 6 innings. Look, these Phillies, they've been hitting the ball, smashing it, and Corbin has struggled against them. But the 2 guys he struggled most against is McCutchen, who's gone, and Harper, who you can kind of pitch around here, and I think he can keep this. If Corbin can get 6 innings, if he can get 6 innings, this will be under 4. If he's out in 5 innings, then you might lose your bet here. I do like the Phillies here. I think Wheeler, he usually comes in strong, especially after another pitcher goes 8 innings, and then you still gotta. We know they don't got a great bullpen, but at least they got some rested guys that can come in. So I would actually look at the Phillies -1.5 here as well.
Yeah, we broke down that game early in the show, and we were pretty much unanimous on the Phillies. And, Harper is lefty against Corbin lefty. I'm thinking that Corbin will have to pitch to him because they're going to have that big right-handed bat coming up behind him. I don't think Corbin wants to face either one of those guys, no matter who they put there. Rhys Hoskins is hitting the crap out of the ball right now, and he's right-handed. So it might be an opportunity for Harper, maybe with a prop homer off of a left-handed batter, I imagine you're getting a pretty good price for that. Because I think he will have to pitch to him, but that just adds to the fuel of the fire that we have for the Phillies as a best bet, and unanimous, all 5 of us.
Well, it depends how the weather holds up. Because I know right now in PA it's getting pretty windy and stuff, so it could be blowing.
Oh, where I'm at, we're in a tornado watch.
Yeah.
The ball's carrying. Ball's carried last week with the same EV in May and April. The ball at Nationals Park with the same EV as it was in May and April. It's carrying almost 4 feet farther. That's a big jump.
That's huge.
Due to extra velocity. And we saw what Atlanta hit 10 home runs in 2 games, or I don't know what they in total in that series. 4. They crushed the ball. Yeah.
12 in 4 games.
Yeah.
And they're 14 straight now. That's starting to get it pretty exciting, as they say down that way.
Hey, Philly, if Philly wins tonight, guys, this is big news. Be 2 games over 500. Last time there were 2 games over 500, they were 3-1.
Do you think it's because of Girardi, or do you think it's because of the competition?
No, I don't. I mean, I what do I think? I think it has to do with the roll of the dice with Philly. If I know that now we got bullpen by committee for you guys, that's something that it's difficult enough to handicap a baseball game late in a game, especially with the Phillies. Damn them. But
I think it's because they're giving Bryson Stott more time.
Maybe
if Girardi put him in one time, and then he was horrible. He's batting like 170. But man, the kid's been electric. I mean, he's got that Stubbs, the other backup catcher.
This Philadelphia lineup's pretty tough to pitch around anybody. I mean, it's a good lineup. I mean, it really is. I'm not concerned about them hitting the ball. I'm concerned with them closing games out, finding guys who can step up and close a game out in this day and age of walks, home runs, and strikeouts. There we go.
Is Knievel still banged up?
No, they took him out of the role. He's the guy that blew for me 2 nights ago. I get 9 runs. I'm supposed to win. If you give me 9 runs and you lose, you got to answer. You're going to hear about it. You're not hear directly from me, but somebody's going to tell you. Did you hear what Tony Finn said? Oh shit!
They got a flamethrower in the minor leagues that can come up and close, and I don't know I forget his name, but the kid, I don't know why they're not bringing him up.
Why not put Ranger?
Brogdon and
I say Suarez. Why not bring Suarez back into that role?
100%. He's not been that great as a starter. I mean,
I just think he doesn't have super secondary pitches that's going to make him an elite starter. He's a good kid. Right now, if he performs the way he performed in that role a year and a half ago, why not?
I like Kirby. I like Kirby going tonight. When you guys were talking about that game,
Kirby 2-pitch pitcher. The problem with him is 2-pitch. He's got to develop that. He's got to develop a third pitch. They will get to him. They'll get to him, man. And the Angels lineup it's not chopped liver. If Rendon's healthy,
But I don't think Wade's playing the right.
No, well, Wade, he pinched hit last night.
So they got him in.
He pinched hit last night, so he may play. But that's a tough lineup.
He's the one I would bet the home run on if he plays, because if they pitch around, he's the one that benefits from a pitch around.
There's your hedge, John. And you don't have to worry about my best bet. My best bet is the one I outlined for you. That for the game, it was play the Phillies first half -1, -1.5. And -3 at +150. Play the Phillies.
So that leaves Eric Pauly for his best bet for the show, if he wants to do one. Or he
we got to hear it.
Yeah, no, I'll stick with the best bet I gave on the full count MLB show with SportsMemo. So I'm taking the Mets to -130 tonight against the Brewers. Of course, they got shelled last night. I see the line's actually to -135 now, so a little bit of some value there on the 130 that I got. Tyler Megill coming off the injury had a really great start to the season. I anticipated a little bit of a bounce back. Aaron Ashby is good, but the Mets, as we know, really rarely ever lose series whatsoever. So I think this is a huge bounce back spot at home. But the real reason why I'm on the Mets now is you have a team as good as New York Mets as only -135 favorites. I know the Brewers are a very good baseball team, but if we weren't talking about how good the Braves are and how bad the Angels are, we'd be talking about how bad the Brewers have been in the month of June as well. They have not been really doing well over the last couple of weeks.
Who did McGill beat opening day?
Let's take a look
Patrick Corbin.
Patrick Corbin. Yeah. So again, just looking at like a team like the Yankees, of course, the Yankees are on pace to, really be they are the elite team in baseball. But coming off a game last night where they took a loss, they actually ended up winning last night. They're still minus 175, and at one point I saw them as high as minus 220. So if you're getting a Mets team that's arguably, in that same ballpark as the Yankees, as just minus 135 against an opponent that's probably just as good as the Tampa Bay Rays, too much value there on the minus 130. So I'm laying that with the Mets on the money line tonight.
Don't that scare you, though? Minus 130 for the Mets, who are the number one team besides the Yankees. Don't that scare you? Why wouldn't it be higher?
No, it's a great question. I think it's because the market's a little bit confused. McGill started off winning 5 games, lost 2, won his last one, and was out with injury. Ashby's had some good starts, but he's a young kid that's been in a mixture of a reliever. He's closed. He has a save this season, 6 starts. I think that this is a situation where there's I'm not going to say not enough information, but it really is a toss-up. Ashby can come in and have a fantastic performance and shut down the Mets. The Mets also mashed lefties, and McGill won them 5 games to start the season. So I could definitely see that being a red flag. But in this instance, I think no, that it's just a misprice.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And I think Mr. Finn likes the NBA to go to 7 games, and I'm tempted. I don't know. Jesse Schule owes me like enough pizzas, Tony Finn, that I should actually contact some people about opening up a food bank or maybe my own pizza shop.
Well, do you like Golden State? Do you like Golden State tonight?
I do.
Oh, well, then how many pizzas does he owe you?
Well,
I'll double it. Well, if he owes you 10, I'll bet you 10 pizzas tonight then. And I'll give you the 4 points. I'll give you a half point more.
That's like being the chip leader at the World Series of Poker, and you're going to take a tenth of my stack.
No, well, if I'm at the final table,
it doesn't even make me sweat.
I'm going to stand up and say, "Listen, you see this $5 million in chips I got in front of me? I don't care about winning this. Give me my money. Give me my effing money right now." That's all I'm going to say.
That's not how it works.
Maybe not, but
they say it's 5 million. They don't say. They should say it's 5 million widgets. It's not $5 million.
It should be. It's 5 million.
5 million units of chips.
And it's not worth much because John Ryan's head is on the damn chip. So
I'll bet Green gets a technical because it's going to be all the calls are going to go one way in this game tonight.
Well, that's what he's doing in the series. Gets 4 rebounds, scores 4 points, and has 4 big arguments with the official for some reason. So yeah.
Well, I do
triple nothing.
I have a bet with my own money, pizza money, of course, small amount, under 42.5 points and assists Tatum.
I have it too.
And you know what? It's a bad bet. You know why it's a bad bet? Because it has nothing to do with analytics. It has nothing to do with anything other than I despise that player and his style of play.
Wow. That's hard.
His shoulder hurts, but he can wave it all over God's creation with a
That's hard because if you can like Ben Simmons, then you sure as hell should like Jason Tatum.
Hey, Ben Simmons has more dunks in the NBA playoffs than Tatum does this year.
And
there you go.
And did Ben Simmons play a minute of basketball this year?
Well, somewhere he must have. It wasn't on TV.
He was on temp. He was at St. Joe's, I think, on their basketball court.
I don't think he even was willing to hop on that. I don't think he even was suiting up for that. I think he barely even played 5s against his own teammates in the practice facility.
He shot better from the field than Tatum did.
He was perfect. He was perfect for the free throw line. I think he should retire. Ben Simmons. He was 0 for 0.
All right, well, I'll let you guys go here. I appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us, Kevin. That's
good to meet you guys.
Works. We're at the pub.
Yeah, and don't let them hold the show against you. Just because
you want to take us out of here, Tony Finn?
Where am I going to go? Let's go to the pool.
You're going to close the show.
Let's go to the bar pool.
Usually say.
I don't have the bar floating bar on the pool.
You know my phrase.
I'll blow that. Up, and let's have a drink and a shot, watch the game, and then close out with an Ohtani win in T-Mobile Park. Right?
You have like an inspiring quote like mine, like bet with your head not over it.
No, I could say, don't be like me. Be a little crazier, a little more spontaneous. Do everything in moderation, excessively.
And that is the Tony Finn quote that will be on his epitaph in about 100 years, because he is going to live forever.
Yeah, well, I do have some, some vampire DNA in me. My grandma was from Transylvania.
Everything in moderation, excessively.
Excessively, baby. Yeah. And bring
all right,
free.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll have another show Friday. Good luck tonight, gentlemen. Hope we all win. And may all the wins be yours.
Free picks for Quaaludes.